Hello, my name is Christopher Fryan, and this is a tutorial on how to create the kind of 360 interactive art pieces you see here in my new collection, Biological Resurgence, curated by Mirage Gallery. Just before we get started, I wanted to mention that only 89 out of 150 pieces are remaining. They're all one-of-one interactive art pieces, which you can view on your phone, desktop, and in VR, and they are 0.08 ETH each. The link is miragegallery.ai. The link is also in my bio. I hope you check it out. I hope you consider picking one up, and thank you for watching. So here we are in Midjourney. You can pretty much use any image generator for this, but your quality and results may vary depending on which one you choose. So I've already typed in the prompt here, and the secret sauce here is the phrase Insta360 X3 360 fisheye panorama, and you don't have to worry about typing that in. If you check the thread for this video, you'll see that you can copy and paste it. I'll put the whole thing in here, just so you know, for your convenience. I've already put in a few of these. I've generated a few, and what you're looking for in these results, I'll blow it up for you. What you're looking here for these results is a kind of bowing out. Kind of like the world is being warped by two spheres. And you want to look for this because Midjourney doesn't really understand what a panorama is. So sometimes it'll do the right thing, like you're kind of seeing here, and you know, something kind of weird like this, or just a regular, like flat, you know, landscape type thing. And what I found helps me is if you just go into Google and go into Google Images and search for an actual 360 panorama. Just put in 360 panorama. Here's an image that I have from Google. This is not mine. This is an actual panorama, and it kind of gives you an idea of the kind of warping that you're looking for. And this is important because when you create it and put it into an actual panorama, if it doesn't have the kind of warping that it needs, that you would expect from an actual photo, it'll look weird. It will make this distortion like in the opposite direction. It'll look really weird. You won't like it. It's not something you want to do, which is why this part of the prompt is important. So just keep that in mind. I went ahead and upscaled this guy right here. So I'm going to bring that into Photoshop, and we'll move over there right now. So we have this image in Photoshop. What we're going to do is we're going to duplicate this with this layer right here with the Control J, and I'm actually going to come down here and create a solid color fill, and it will make sense why I'm doing this later. But yeah, just make it. I make mine like very red, just like something very noticeable as a color, and you'll see why in a second. So I'm gonna go ahead and select the original duplicated image right here. I'm going to right click on that and go convert this to a smart object. And actually going to put this in a group, Control G to put it in a group. That's just something I do for my own sanity, but you don't have to do that. So, okay, so we've got one of these guys right here. What we're going to do is Control J to duplicate that layer, and switch over to make sure you have your move tool selected. It's V on the keyboard, or you can just select it up here, and you want to move it over to the right, the top one over to the right. And it's a good idea to hold shift while you do this so that it doesn't go up or down, because you want to make sure that both of them are on the same vertical or horizontal plane. So go ahead and move that over, and we want to get this roughly in the center. It's not super important that it's exactly in the center, but just roughly in the center. And I went ahead and selected the original layer, and I'm going to move that over to the left. So what we're looking for here is the seam, and we want to match this up. So what we're going to try to do here is get this front and center, this seam front and center, because we have to make this disappear in order for this to be a real panorama that's not going to have this horrible seam running through the middle of it. And thankfully we have Adobe to thank for creating generative fill, because it's great at stuff like this, and it's really not a big deal. What I usually do is I use the selection tool. You can use the marquee tool, but I usually use the lasso tool, the polygonal lasso tool, and I just start clicking here. A lot of times you'll have a bit of variation. If it's an outdoor scene, you'll have a bit of variation between the sky up here and the sky over here. So what I tend to do is to kind of start my selection out here, and then kind of just going around the details and trying to avoid the stuff that I kind of like, that I want to keep. So you don't want to select the seam like directly on the seam, because it's not. You need a kind of transition to happen from one side to the other. So that's why we're being kind of wide with the selection. I kind of like this cloud, so I'm gonna go around it at least a little bit. So complete that selection, and we're gonna go up to, let's see, we can do it in layer. Usually don't do this here. Layer, no, sorry, selection. And we're going to go down to modify, and we're going to go to feather. And this is what I usually have for this kind of work. I do a feather radius of 120. Your mileage may vary, it may depend on the scene that you're doing, but this seems to work for almost any kind of panorama that I've done for erasing the seams. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And now that I have this selection and it's feathered, I'm going to go down here to generative fill. And I'm not going to put in any prompt. I'm just going to hit generate. And we'll skip ahead for this. Oh, there it is. Okay, when we're back here, that took a little bit longer than it usually does, but we got some options here, and we're good. Now, if you come over here to the right, if you don't like what you see, this one's a little blurry. So I'm going to come over here and see if there's a better option. And yeah, I like that. So if you don't get a good option, if you don't like what you see, just keep in mind that you can hit generate again right over here. You don't have to select it again, and you'll get more options on top of that. And if you get any kind of weird artifacting on the sides here, you can actually keep in mind that this is all masked out. Like, you created the mask when you selected that. So what you can do is come in here and paint out stuff on the edge. Just make sure that you avoid that seam, that original seam, that it's not going to be an issue later on. Okay, so I have this together. So what I'm going to do is select all these layers, Control G to group them all, right click, and I'm going to go to Convert to Smart Object. And this is a very important step right here. Again, I'll explain that later. But go ahead and select all, Control A to select all, or come down here, select all right here. And then you want to create a mask for this layer. Just go ahead and do that. And then we're going to do a duplicate, Control J to duplicate. We're going to take this top one, move it over to the right, and this guy, and we're going to move him over to the left. And you're going to see this is why I put the red color fill in the background. Make sure that I don't mess up and put in like and make sure that they both match up exactly. So I'm going to go ahead and move that over, holding shift, make sure that doesn't go up or down 1 or 2 pixels or anything like that, because that'll be an issue later on with the seams on either side. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and select these 2 layers, group them, and now what we have here is because we've masked everything out, and we now have something that's seamless and can actually be moved around in kind of centered any way that you want. And what you want to keep in mind when you do this kind of thing, the screen is, if you're in VR, the screen's going to be, whatever the ratio, whatever the size of it is. So it's going to be kind of a window within this world. So I like to kind of center these images so that you're looking at something kind of nice, kind of interesting, composed a little well, rather than having it like over here and you're not looking at anything. But because we set this up correctly, you've got a lot of play. You can move this in any direction, and it will still tile perfectly because of the way we set this up. So last step, what we're going to do is create a cap on the top and the bottom. So I'll go ahead and do that. I'm going to do the marquee tool, M on your keyboard, or you can just select it up here. And I'm going to select roughly like a 200 Let's see, like, I go for like, actually this one's a little smaller, so I'm gonna go with, say, let's just say 50, close enough, 51. Okay, so I'm just gonna create a new layer here, and I'm gonna fill it with black, and let's control backspace to fill it with the color that's your it's like selected color, your primary color. Okay, so I created that. I'm just going to duplicate that layer, Control J, bring that down, and place it right there. Okay, so the reason why we do this is when you get this into its final state, and it's an interactive 360 panorama, the bottom and the top, all those pixels on the top and near the top are going to be gathered into like a very small circle, and it's going to look really weird. So this is, you see this actually in real photography. They do the same thing because, you know, sometimes there's you know, like a tripod or something like that. They don't want to show that, but we're doing it because we don't want the weirdness of the pixels like kind of sucking into the center. It looks bad, it looks weird, and we don't want to see that. So that's why we're adding this to the top and the bottom. You can try it without it, but you'll see when you do that it's kind of an issue. So we're gonna go ahead and save this out. Go to File, Export as. And we're just gonna save this out as a PNG. Throw it in there, ignore all that. Yeah, I'm just gonna save this. Just gonna save this. I gotta change the name here. Panorama. Okay, so we got that saved out. We're going to switch over to After Effects to create the video for this. Okay, so here we are in After Effects. I'm just going to drag in this image that we just created in Photoshop. Ignore that image, don't ask. Bring that over to the project panel right here, and we're going to right click, and we're going to make it a, actually, you know what you can do is just drag this in, make it a new composition so it's the exact same size as the image. And that's important because you're going to have issues if you try to force it to a different aspect ratio. It needs to be pixel perfect, exactly the same. Now, first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to come up to the composition and go to composition settings, and I'm going to save this as an MP4. So the minimum that you can do, since this isn't animated and it really doesn't matter what the frame rate is, I'm going to drop it down as much as possible so that it renders faster. So I'm going to change this from 50 frames per second to 10 frames per second. That's the minimum that you can do for MP4, at least that After Effects will allow. So go ahead and hit OK. And you want kind of a decent amount of time. That's kind of up to you. And you can do different stuff here. You can add music if you want to. That is up to you. I'm not going to do that for this one. I'm just going to go ahead and render this out. But make sure that you've got a decent amount of time before it ends. We want to make sure that they have enough time to actually view it before the video ends. If you're uploading this to YouTube, for example, you know, if it's like 10 seconds long, it's going to be a problem, right? So just give them enough time to check it out, you know, look around, whatever they want to do. Whether it's on the phone, VR, or whatever, it's going to be annoying if, like in YouTube, you know, the recommended next images come up, you know, while they're trying to look at the whole thing. So give them a decent amount of time, and then we've already kind of set that up. So we're going to go ahead and go into composition. We're going to add this to the render queue, and we're going to click down here at the output module, the settings right here. We're going to change some settings here. If you have audio, you want to leave this as is, or you know, if you want to mess with the settings, make it a higher bit or whatever it is you want to do. I'm going to turn it off just for this video because it doesn't have any audio, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I'm going to go out, you know, over here into format options, and then I'm going to drop this down to say like 5. You can kind of play with this to see what is the best option for you. But I'm going to go with like 5 megabytes per second. hit OK, hit OK. You want to select over here in your output, you want to select the place you want to drop it, tutorial panorama. That is what I'm doing. So I'm going to go ahead and save that as right there. And I'm going to go ahead and get this started. Okay, so we have the tutorial panorama video ready to go. It's all rendered out. Now, if you open this right now, you know, in fact, I'll just do it. It's not going to be interactive. You can't drag it around. You can't do anything with it. This is a VLC player, by the way. I haven't tried other players for video, but if you're on desktop or you're on mobile, VLC player is good for checking out interactive panorama videos, whatever they are. You know, not necessarily art related, but you know, anything. So I'm going to go ahead and close that. And what you need to do to get this to be an actual 360 interactive video is you need just a simple program. And we're actually going to come over here. Okay, so we're here in Google. We're going to go ahead and grab one program that we need, simple program that we need, and it's Spatial Media Metadata Injector. I will put that in the thread so you can copy and paste that and Google it yourself. I would put the link in there, but Twitter X doesn't seem to like that. So I'm going to go ahead and skip that and just put this in instead. You guys can check it out by just Googling it. I'm going to go ahead and Google this. And it's going to be the first option usually, and you're looking for Google Spatial Media. This is created by Google. It's a very simple program, so we're going to go ahead and click here. Come down here to the Assets section, and what we're looking for here, if you're on Mac, you want to download this one right here. I'm on Windows, so I'm going to go ahead and download this one. Go ahead and save that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and open this up. I already have this, but what you want to do is open this up, and it's just got the one file in it. I threw mine on the desktop, and so I suggest that you do the same. Just grab it and drag it on your desktop, or wherever you want it. You want to save it if you want to make more than one, or whatever. It's up to you. So I'm going to go ahead and open this Spatial Media Metadata Injector. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up. Okay, so I have this opened up, and all I really have to do is go in. I put this in my downloads, so this tutorial panorama. All I have to do is hit open, go in here, select the video that you want to make a 360 panorama. Select that, hit open, and it's already going to be set up for you to do this. You don't have to mess with any of the settings. Just make sure this is checked, which it will be. It's the default option, and you want to hit the inject metadata button right here. And it's going to go into the same folder, and it's going to add the little thing that says injected, so you know which one is the correct one to use. So I'm going to go ahead and hit save, and it really only takes a second because it's just writing, like I assume, a couple bytes of information. So I'm going to go ahead and close that, and I'm going to go ahead and open up our new 360 panorama. And what you'll notice with these kind of things is that you usually have to zoom out to see them at their proper resolution. So I'm going to go ahead and use my mouse wheel on this to zoom out a bit so it doesn't look you know, so pixelated. And I'm gonna, you know, I'll open this up, and now we can actually go around and see, like, you don't have the seams going on. It's very nice. It's very picturesque. So there we have it. Yeah. If you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the replies. If you have any issues, whatever it is, if you want to share what you've created, please do. Please put that in the replies as well. And yeah, I'd love to see what you guys create with this. Thank you. Have a nice day.